All right. I saw this, and I haven't, read it yet, but I saw it, and I just decided, you know what? This is definitely something worth reading. Yeah, or at least it should be. Um, oh yeah, I'm just glancing at that picture. I can see this. This is definitely this is definitely worth touching on. How Hollywood keeps breeding new pirates. The major Hollywood studios have put a lot of effort into making their content available online. There's an abundance of streaming options and more content than ever before. Still, despite this progress, many international fans of popular TV shows are still driven to pirate sites, as legal options are abruptly taken away. Why? For online media consumers, things have improved significantly over the years. More content is made available globally than ever before. The music industry continues to be at the forefront of this transition. In most countries, legal services are plentiful and affordable. However, the same can't be said for online video. Um, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of apps. I mean, I haven't like my phone is it's old. I like it though, so I don't have any desire to upgrade to something that would actually be able to do anything. But it's too old to to do basically any uh, new apps. Like all apps are going to be like, oh, you need to have at least whatever, and it's like, no, no, fuck you. I'm keeping the old one that doesn't do shit. Um, but anyway, I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of apps that people that I know use that that'll let them listen to find a song that just spur of the moment. They I don't know what is Spotify or what the fuck they're called, but it's like they have apps that it's like they suddenly get a hankering to listen to some particular song and they can like search for it and find it and listen to it just like that. So, and as far as it's like that's a legal option for listening, and it's obviously like way more convenient than trying to search a pirate site, find whatever it is, and then spend however long downloading it, and then have to upload the files to your device so you can take it with you, your phone or whatever, so that you can listen to it, or burn it to a CD to if you're still using CDs in your car, which I am, but not everybody does anymore. But it's like there are some things that are certainly very convenient. Um, Although I would say that that's one of the things to be well, one of the reasons to buy a CD or a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever is so that you have a physical copy, so that you have the media there and it can't be taken away, because that's a big fucking problem. Is I mean we've seen it recently, of course, with Disney, deciding that they're gonna remove some things from their streaming service because of supposed racial insensitivity or whatever the fuck, or they're going to try to block it from being able to be watched by kids, even though it's a kids movie or TV show or whatever. They put a warning on it or some shit. Or they're going to edit movies and take out stuff that was in them originally because current year, and nobody wants that. Like, I mean, except for a handful of screeching SJWs, nobody fucking wants any of the old shit, messed with. It's like we should be capable of understanding that, yeah, this was made in the first half of the 20th century, or whatever. Views on things were different back then. Maybe it's, not, maybe it's not quite a view that anybody is going to be having today, but it doesn't matter because you're able to understand that and just enjoy it for what it is. I just, I don't understand. Don't fucking understand people who believe that everything needs to be constantly edited to fit in with today's SJW values. It's not even the actual values of the majority of people. It's just the screeching far left. The CW seed. I'm not Not familiar with that offhand. I guess that's their online thing, but I don't, I can watch the CW off the air if I am interested. Due to licensing restrictions, this content is only available in the U.S. That's something that I remember experiencing a lot when Doctor Who, the new Doctor Who was new. When it was fairly new. Maybe not when it's brand new, but it was fairly new. It's like I found out about it, watched it, and then there were all these like digital extras that you were supposed to go to the BBC website to enjoy. And guess what? They block you if you're from the US because it's like, oh, for rights reasons, you can't, and I don't know how much of that content eventually made its way to like BBC America's website or something. By then I'd probably, given up on trying to enjoy any of that online shit. I was just like, fuck it, I guess I just won't know what the webisode or whatever the fuck it was. Anyway, so yeah, but that's always something that just the idea of, oh, due to rights reasons, you don't get to see this, and it's like, what? Like you're really, really just hoping that people will pirate your shit at that point. You just are. And although I do totally agree with the idea that things have gotten better, like the availability of a lot of things does seem to have been improved greatly, in the United States certainly, but presumably also elsewhere it's been, improved in recent years. And yet, despite that, there's still another issue there, which is when Netflix was like one of the only providers of a streaming service, and they had the rights to just fuck near everything, then a lot of people would be like, oh, well, for this one relatively low price, I can legally watch anything, basically. And as you see this fracturing, splintering, whatever, of the streaming industry, it's like more and more streaming services there are, the less and less people are going to be like, oh, sure, I'll just subscribe to this one, and then that 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 one. It's, pretty soon it's way the fuck more expensive than cable or satellite was, and it's just like, you know what? I can't, it's like, you can't justify to yourself spending ridiculous amounts of money on all this shit. And either you don't watch them or you decide, well, I want to watch them anyway, but why don't I just pirate it? Anyway, while there has been plenty of progress in availability of movie and TV shows, more problems are created as well. This is one of the main reasons why piracy remains relevant. Even those who want to do the right thing have to be rather self-disciplined to avoid becoming a pirate. It's easy to avoid being a pirate, or rather, it's easy to avoid being a viewer. You just say, fuck it, I don't care, and just don't watch. It's not as though, all these TV shows and things that get pirated or viewed legally either way, it's not like they're the only entertainment option out there. YouTube is as well, not everything. I've run across things on fucking YouTube that say, oh, it's blocked in your country, and it's like, what? It's like, what the fuck? Apparently it's not blocked in some other country, but in mine it is. I don't know. But nevertheless, it's like all of the entertainment that's created by individuals on YouTube, as far as I know, none of that should, unlike corporate crap, shouldn't be blocked anywhere. So you should, it's like, so PewDiePie or whoever the fuck, it's like anything that they do to entertain people, or me for that matter, should be available. Not that I'm necessarily all that entertained, but you get what I'm saying. It's like all these videos on YouTube by individual creators tend to be available probably everywhere, except I guess maybe where whatever it is being blocked by the government because, it it might say something that we don't want you to know about. Like China, they don't ever want you to know about anything, especially about what they're up to. Anyway, popular TV shows vanish locally. One doesn't have to look far to find some examples of this happening in real time. Just a few days ago, my 12-year-old niece asked if I knew where she could watch The Vampire Diaries. Um, the Vampire Diaries kind of jumped the shark at some point. It's hard to pinpoint where, but I really liked it early on. I own I can't remember how many seasons I own on DVD, but I bought like the first 2 or 3 seasons, I think, on DVD. Anyway, like early on, it was good, and of course, like I said, it was available on the air here. But towards the end, it I don't know. There comes a point at which things start to become just too freaking convoluted in a story like that. You've done too much, and it's like, okay, it's time to end it. It's time to end it, guys. And the original is kind of the same way, except it didn't take as long for that to happen. Like again, the first couple of seasons or whatever was really good, and then I can't remember how many seasons it lasted for. Was it 3 or 4? Or I think it was only like 4 seasons it lasted. But like they did too much stuff and kind of it was a little bit like writing themselves into a corner, I guess, in a way. And it just became something that's like, oh God, it's like you I don't know. Anyway, like I said, it's a kind of a jump the shark type thing again. I watched the first 2, I think, when it was new, but I didn't. I watched the 3rd and 4th season later because it's I just kind of drifted away from paying attention. Which are both scheduled to leave Netflix in a few weeks here in the Netherlands. My niece is lucky as her parents already have a subscription to Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Discovery Plus, and a local streaming platform. Shit, yeah, she's lucky they're able to afford that. And who knows? In Europe, you probably have to pay like extra taxes and bullshit on shit like that anyway. I don't know. I mean, you're always as an American, obviously we pay. I don't know how different that is. Like I keep hearing people who live in like the UK or wherever talk about value added tax, VAT, and it sounds like a lot of times it's ridiculously expensive. It's like double digit. For sure. And I think upwards of, it's sometimes on some things like upwards of 20% tax rate. And it's like, God damn. But essentially, I think what it is just, it's the same thing essentially as like sales tax over here, I think. But sales tax over here is different depending on where you live because, different states or cities or whatever will have different amounts of tax that they add on to things that retailers have to collect and then pay to the to the government. But where I live and a number of other places near where I live, I believe the tax rate, the sales tax, is mostly, there might be some places where it's a little bit lower and some places where it's a little bit higher, but I think most places, most cities are with the state and city tax together come out to about 8.25%. And I'm not aware of there being. I mean, I'm sure it is someplace, not in my state, but maybe in some other state, probably. But like around here, it's like it's essentially unheard of for there to be double-digit percentage. Like you'd never get to 10%. People would be like, "What the fuck?" like no. It's like no, like 8.25, maybe 8.5 or something. It's like that's as much as you're getting out of us, and then we're gonna be like, "Fuck you." Anyway, where was I? However, there's no evidence that any of these services will offer those TV shows when they leave Netflix. Yeah, I mean, finding what you want is increasingly difficult. That is, like I said, that's one of the problems. Needless to say, my niece was disappointed when I told her. She's a passionate fan of these shows. Not being able to watch them is a disaster in a teenage mind. It's also, well, buy her the fucking DVDs, man. The whole thing's over. It's like, both of those shows are over. So buy her the DVDs, you know? And you know, oh, they're not available in my region. Yes, they are. You can I can buy DVDs from Australia or the UK or where, Germany or wherever, and have them shipped to me here in the States. And yes, they are not for my region, and a regular DVD player won't fucking play them. But you know what will play them? My computer and software like VLC Player. It doesn't fucking care where the movie, is coded for. VLC will just play it because, it's a DVD. We will play a DVD. We don't care. So I don't have to worry about that shit. And I don't know. I'm not actually sure if I've tried playing a DVD on any recent version of Windows. So I don't know offhand whether Windows is set up to try to intercept that and be like, oh, you can't. I mean, I know that. I know Mac. I know Macintosh. At least years ago had their DVD player app would do that. It would say, this is not for your region or whatever. You can change your region, but you get a maximum of like two lifetime changes or something like that. It's like, no, fuck you. It's like, I'll just play it with VLC, which doesn't say anything to me about that. So I know that VLC will work on a Mac, even though the Mac app for that will try to tell you can't watch it. So I don't know whether Windows is set up to try to stop you from watching it because, we've detected it's not for your region. But I would assume not. But mostly, I believe I've watched DVDs on my Linux computer, so obviously it doesn't give a shit. It doesn't give a shit about a lot of things, so that's handy. Not the first setback. Sadly, this isn't the first setback for my niece either. Not surprised. But, anyway, to finish what I was saying, it's like, so you ought to be able in Europe to, I don't know, what kind of taxes you might have to pay, but you ought to be able to fucking buy it, even if it's for a different region, and then, put it on a fucking computer, or, a Linux computer if you can't actually get another that will do it or whatever, and then just use VLC and play the fucking DVD so you can watch it. And like I said, the Vampire Diaries and the originals, those are over. They're finished, so they should be. I mean, I haven't checked. Like I said, I own like the first 2 or 3 seasons, but I haven't checked. But I should think that by now the DVDs should be available of all of them, or even Blu-rays maybe. Anyway, in recent weeks, she already got frustrated by the inability to watch Legacies. That's sort of that's a spin-off of the Vampire Diaries. Spun off the originals as its separate show, but that actually included like characters that really appeared in the Vampire Diaries. They were part of that story for a while, and then they went and had their own show. But Legacies, as far as I know, only has like maybe one character in it that was from the Vampire Diaries. So almost the entire cast of characters, it's all just new people. It's not really got anything to do with the old show. I think I watched the first episode or 2, and then I was like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. I may try to watch it later, but for right now, I'm just like, it left me very meh on the whole thing. Which is another popular, and popular CW series. Is that even? That's a kind of a contradiction in terms. I don't know. Not to shit on the CW too much, because I actually do like a number of their shows from the past, and even some from the present, in the same genre. Meanwhile, she is looking at hundreds of people who post clips and screenshots of the show on TikTok. You shouldn't use TikTok. It's a Chinese spyware. Snapchat. That probably is too by now. I don't know. And elsewhere. My niece would love to join the party, but she can't. Not legally, at least. Well, like I said, DVDs should be legal. And again, they're, like the whole region thing is kind of stupid to start with, but there are ways around that. Easy ways. Which, as far as I know, they're not, there's nothing illegal about that. It's like, so what? VLC doesn't give a shit about the region. That doesn't make it illegal. I get warnings, when I buy DVDs from overseas or whatever, and they're like, warning, this can't be played in your DVD player, and it's like, yeah, it can. I mean, obviously not my standalone DVD player, but I don't fucking use that anymore. But I can fucking play it on my computer. I recently bought a movie. What was it? It was an old movie with Yvonne DiCarlo. I've recently become interested in trying to watch her older. They're all older. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's a long time ago. But anyway, like her movies, I've recently become interested in trying to watch those and discovered that a whole bunch of them are not fucking available in America for some reason. So I had to buy one off eBay. I think it came from Spain, but I believe it has, so it's like, it's the wrong region, but again, it's not going to matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is that it had the the English dub. It wasn't just like, oh no, it's Spanish dub only. It's like, that wouldn't have worked for me. But but it does have the English language track on it. And I don't fucking do subtitles, so it's got to be English audio for me. And that applies to things that weren't originally in English too. It's like I don't want to watch a fucking Godzilla movie and sit there trying to read the the fucking subtitles. It's like, fuck you. And all the VHS tapes that I had as a kid and all the times I saw it on TV, don't try to tell me, oh well, they just don't do the dubbed version anymore. It's like, well, they did it in the past, so sell me that, you fucker. I mean, hellfire, I've got, like 90s or whatever Godzilla movies on DVD that have English language track. I don't understand why recently it seems to have become impossible to get, dubbed Godzilla's shit. It's like, for some reason now we don't want to offer that. Increasingly, they don't want to offer, dubbed in anything. It's like, you're supposed to learn how to speak Japanese or listen to the, often, especially if it's anime or something, listen to the screeching of female Japanese actors, Japanese actresses, that their voices are so high pitched it's like nails on a chalkboard, and you're supposed to just listen to that apparently while you read the translation of what it is they're saying. It's like, no, get me a fucking American create some jobs, goddammit. Employ an American actress to read that shit. I don't care if it's not completely accurate. Fuck it. I want to be able to watch the show, and I can't watch the show while I'm fucking reading the text of everything that's being said. Maybe some people can do that, or they think they can anyway, but no, it's like, no, I can focus on the text or I can focus on the actual visual action. One or the other. Anyway, like I said, those voices, oh my god, they're so high pitched. They make Anna Kasparian seem perfectly normal by comparison. For a moment, I was tempted to mention that some people use pirate sites to illegally get these instead, but I chose not to. Well, just buy the fucking DVDs, dude. However, I'm pretty sure that it won't take long before someone suggests this option to her. And what will happen then? Well, what will happen is she'll get in trouble if she doesn't use a VPN, which I think Torrent Freak probably, which VPN providers really take anonymity seriously in 2020. There you go. It's like, so hook her up with a VPN. if you know that's going to happen, it's like, hook her up. From 10 years ago, SOPA will mean the end of Reddit, says General Manager. Well, I guess it didn't pass, or or it didn't mean the end, because Reddit's still a thing as far as I know. I don't know. Sopa makes me hungry for sopapilla. Uh, anyway, in an attempt to find out why these and other shows are not being made available internationally, I reached out to the CW. The company swiftly replied and pointed me to Warner Brothers TV and CBS TV Studios, who are the official distributors. At what cost? Unfortunately, after several days, I'm still waiting for a response from these companies, but it is likely that money and licensing play a major role in their decision not to offer the content. The question is, at what cost? Is it wise to deprive some of the biggest fans of watching their favorite shows, which are readily available elsewhere? Could this somehow backfire? I like that he spells favorite the American way instead of the British way. I would expect him to do otherwise, since he's apparently in the Netherlands. Favorite, you know. That's, you know, can I sell a vowel? Oh, Vladimir Putin's internet advisor owns a torrent site from 5 years ago. Well, that's interesting. I didn't hear that. That's interesting. As far as I know, Putin's very anti-piracy, which is, you know, kind of too bad. The Chinese are probably very anti-piracy, if, you know, as far as their citizens go, but as far as they themselves are concerned, the CCP is probably totally in favor of piracy. I mean, you know, they demand that companies. Anyway, we won't get into that. Without knowing it, my niece answered this question for me. A few days after our chat, her parents noticed that there were several dubious movie streaming apps on their tablets. Apparently, someone was trying to watch her favorite shows through a back door. Well, like I said, you know, if you want to do her a solid, get her the fucking DVDs. You know, that's perfectly legal and shouldn't be a problem. Although you will probably need an actual fucking computer instead of like a, you know, damn tablet or something. That maybe that's part of the problem, is why so many people don't do that, because it's like they have a standalone DVD player or Blu-ray player or something, and then all of their like internet and computering that they do, all of it is like, oh, it's on mobile devices. And it's like, well, come on, invest in a real fucking computer, people. It's not that difficult. And for that matter, you might want to do that if you want to pirate as well. I'm not advocating piracy, but if you wanted to, I'm not aware of it being super easy or anything to do that on a mobile device, so you probably need a real computer for that. Okay, well, anyway, like I said, this has gone on for a very long time, but some good points made in the article. I think I added a few, you know, worthwhile points of my own. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know any easy solutions to this. Like I said, all of the companies are interested in doing their own thing. They want their own streaming service so that they can make as much money as possible, you know, by just essentially they're selling directly to the consumer, to the, you know, to the viewer. So that's what they all want. And I don't know that it's going to work out for all of them. I think a lot of them are going to wind up finding that, you know, they're going to struggle to keep very many viewers, because unless you're offering the service super, I mean, and that's the other thing. It's like if they were all super cheap, if it's like, oh, for $1 a month, you can subscribe to this service, you know, and this one, and this one. It's like, yeah, people might be willing to subscribe to all of them if they're that cheap. But when you're charging, you know, as far as I know, it's like it's the cheapest of them are probably like, you know, $5 or $6 a month at least, and then most of them are trying to do $10 or even $15 a month, and it's like no, it's like you know, you might get some people who are like, well, you know, the only things I really want to watch are on this one streaming service, but most people are gonna be like, no, I want to watch some from this one and some from that one and some from this one, some from that one, and you know, and it's before you know it, it's like you're paying, you know, you're paying potentially triple-digit bucks a month on fucking streaming services, and you know, I don't know. It does not seem like a reasonable thing. And I don't know. One should probably point out that as far as piracy goes, it's like recording things like on VHS is something they tried to stop way back in the 70s or whenever, when people were doing it, and they were like, oh, we got to stop them doing this. They're not allowed to record it off the air. And the courts ruled, yes, they are. They're allowed to record it off the air. And if you don't think that people who recorded shit on tape way back when were letting each other borrow their tapes or make copies of their tapes for their friends or whatever, you're kidding yourself. That was definitely happening back in like the 80s or whatever, and the 90s. And now it's just become easier and easier for people to let other people get a copy of what they recorded themselves, which that is actually, as far as I'm aware, that is how most of the pirating happens. It's like, well, some people probably buy something on DVD and then rip it, but I'm pretty sure that like for all of the new TV shows that are just coming out, what happens is that the pirate is watching it, probably paying for it if it's a subscription thing. They're watching it, recording their own copy, and then they're simply sharing that copy with everybody else. They're like, the whole world, is my friend, so I'm sharing it with all of my friends. And it's the sharing thing that's actually, that they've convinced the courts to, to think of that as being something fundamentally different and therefore illegal. Yeah, it's not actually recording it yourself or whatever, and it's not even downloading it that you get in trouble for. It's they caught you sharing it because the way that torrent programs work, as you download something, you have to also share it to other people who are interested. That's how that's how the technology, like BitChute's using that, and that's how it works. It's like you have to you have to be part of the sharing. You can't just get it from somebody and not, unless maybe there's some way to hack into a torrent program and create your own version that doesn't share. But anyway. So, like I said, don't know any easy solutions. Closest you got was when Netflix was practically the only game in town, and it was like, this works. This works. People are gonna go to just this one platform because it's the only platform there fucking is. And now it's become far from the only game in town. And it's just none of it is like I said, I don't see a happy end for anybody really. It's one of those situations where there's not a winner and a loser. There's just everybody loses. Like none of the big entertainment companies are going to agree to be like, yeah, we should all just funnel everything into one service and and share the profits. If they did that, then they'd be a monopoly. Although monopolies are not really dealt with by governments anymore. So maybe by the EU a little bit, but certainly not the United States. They allow basic monopolies on all kinds of shit now. Nobody really cares, apparently. But yeah, it's like if they did that, they'd really clean up because almost everybody. I mean, again, it'd have to be a reasonable price. You couldn't be like, for only $200 a month, you can. And it's like, no, that's not going to work. But it's like, for $10 a month, you can get access to basically every piece of entertainment that's ever been made. And we're not editing or trying to destroy any of it or keep any of it from you, then it's like, yeah, everybody and their damn dog would pay for that. And you'd corner the market, but they're not going to do that. None of them are going to do that. Not even probably, a handful of them are going to come together to try to do that. So instead it's just going to stay the way that it is currently. All right. Until the next one.